Hello, Corey. I wasn't sure if I was on live, but apparently I am. So just trying to shut down my email so that doesn't come through. And also trying to get on here. So let me just let people get in and join in. It is back on a work day for people, and I have not been in a couple days. I said I wouldn't be back when I left Saturday, and I left in a bit of a rush Saturday because I realized I had to be somewhere. And so I'm back today. Today uh, is yesterday I wanted to come in, but I just didn't feel like it. I just was the energy is just crazy. So hello, Juliana. Hi. And hello, everyone else who's now joining in. I know there's always lots of people who are watching who don't comment. And so thank you all for being here as well. Thank you for joining me. I do let people get in here before I start talking because apparently if I start talking too soon, people miss the original. You're hoping to catch me? Well, see, look, there you go. It's your lucky morning. I just finished doing my TikTok video. So if you're on TikTok, I am on TikTok, and most places I just come up as Corrie Thorne. YouTube, I have two YouTube channels. For those people just joining in, I have a podcast YouTube channel called She Is Podcast. And that one is just my podcast. It is mostly audio. There is some video. And that one is separate from my Corrie Thorne YouTube channel. So Corrie Thorne, the spiritual healers, I think it just comes up as Corrie Thorne now. That YouTube channel just got a new channel message. I just posted it before I came in here. TikTok just got a new video as well. So, and TikTok, I show each and every card, talking about each and every card. I'm not going to be in there shaking my ass and doing those things because that's not really me. I'm a mystic. I'm a channel. I'm not a clown. I'm not a performer. I do what I do, and I show up in places where I can get my work known. So, but I am on TikTok. I always look some pretty. Oh, thank you, Christy. I appreciate that. I don't always feel that. Yesterday was a real shitty day. My day is going okay. Yes, Rhonda, it is. So good morning, everyone who's coming in. Marissa, good morning. Happy Easter. Tracy, good morning. Everybody, good morning, good morning, good morning. So yesterday I wasn't in. And you can listen to this message that I'll give you a little bit of here right now. But there's some real weird energy going on. Over the weekend, with everything that was happening, I felt myself going through a major change. And if anyone knows my work, and I don't hide this work anymore, I don't hide anything what I do, because I work as a mystic, a channel, an oracle, I channel through those who have walked before us. And I channel those who have never walked up on earth. I'm also an author and a creator. So I'm a writer of More Than Existing and a creator of these oracle cards. But I channel Jesus, and I channel Mother Mary. I channel Mary Magdalene. I channel the Holy Realm. And so Abraham, Moses, Noah. I also channel the goddesses Lilith, Isis. I channel all of those energies. I have for years, been doing it for years. You may have seen me on one of my lives channeling through Sylvia Brown one day. I don't always do it in my lives so much, but all weekend I was channeling through the story of Jesus and the cross story. And whether you're a Christian or you're not, it's just the fact that we have the ability to allow ourselves to do something that's so awful, so cruel, with a desire to cancel somebody out. So that whole story about this whole cancel culture thing that we get stuck in our head is that is not new. That's not new. It depends on who it's affecting and how it's affecting people. So right back to the poor man that was put on a cross, right to the witches who were burned at the stake, right to all of that energy of those who are a problem for society, those who are an issue for society. And so right now, what is coming up in what I'm channeling for the last 2 days is the fact that people who are a little stronger, aggressive, like masculine energy seems to be a problem for society. depression, anxiety, those type of things. It's like, can't you just be optimistic? So I did a whole channeled message about the truth of what we consider to be optimistic, and optimistic and faith is not the same thing. And so it is like, just because people don't tend to go to, oh, the sun is shining today, that means nothing else is going to happen and we're going to have an early spring. And the person who says, yeah, but there's a chance you may get another storm. That's because we have past experiences, not afraid of it. We know it's going to come. We're just not going to believe that every day is going to be sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies. And I tend to be more that way. And it's like, because I can see a storm coming. I can see things happening. I know ahead of time things that are going to take place. And so you can't control it, but so you learn to live in the moment of, yay, we got sunshine today. Yippity doo dah, right? It's like, so happy we got sunshine. It's going to give me the strength that I need to prepare for the days that are going to come. And so that's the way that you look at it differently. And so faith holds you to being able to trust your soul self, to trust the voice that you are hearing deep within, and not our ego, not our mind thoughts, not the chatter in our minds, or that so-called language that we say, oh, I hear my heart speaking to me, my heart is telling me this, my heart's telling me pain. No, anxiety is telling me, my depression is telling me, and that's the truth. And so my anxiety and my depression, when it hits, what I come to understand now is that when that starts to hit me, something is out of alignment. And I need to stop, go quiet, go silent, and listen to what is happening out there. Because most times it is something outside of ourselves, or it is what we suppress inside of ourselves by not allowing ourselves to be seen, to be heard, to be recognized in the way of, like, and I don't mean being heard on social media. I mean being asking for the guidance, the help outside of ourselves. We rely on the material world to provide that happiness. And so faith is knowing that on those days when you're not feeling like yourself, that sometimes it has nothing to do with you personally or what's happening in your world. It's by what by what we're not listening to, that's trying to communicate something bigger to us, or by the fact that we know something is not right. So often people say, oh, I have such anxiety today. And instead of saying something just doesn't feel right today, something in this energy is not right. And so we don't think energy, we don't talk energy, we take everything to be personal. So what I'm telling you today is, this is about thinking outside of you, and that everything that you're feeling may not be personally you. It is a lot of energy out there. There's a lot of things happening out there. We have a new moon coming, but there's something big in the works. And I can't tell you exactly what it is. I just know there's some big shitstorms, and there's some big exposures, and there's just some big things that are being shown to us. And so we're exposed to a lot of energy, but you're also energy. You are energy. That's what you're made of. And so somebody else's words that are directed at you, that are lashed at you, well, it has energy, and it's the energy behind the words. The word itself means nothing. And that's, as my friend Lisa Star Francis says, it's it's the energy that we provide to the words. So as we read a text, as we read a message, and the story that we create behind it. Right. Thank you, Tracy. Okay. I knew somebody in here was feeling this today. So my depression is suffocating right now. So it's good to know it might not just be me. Right. Exactly. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. And I'm not saying we don't have depression and anxiety. I'm saying, there's a whole world out here that is really, truly contributing to something that we are feeling within ourselves right now. So, Tracy, is this really, you've done a lot of work on your past. Is this really your past? Is this really something that's causing you to be this way in your world, or that's happening within you? Or is this something that's outside of yourself that sometimes we're not listening, that, it's just like giving you a little bit of a heads up, and we're able to let it go easier when we say, you know what, something out there just don't feel right. And that's been since Thursday for me. Everything out there don't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. And so what I asked for on the weekend when I was doing some of my healing prayer meditations was that I asked for every single bit of anger, from anger that was tied, attached, or attacked onto me, that someone else threw at me, in this lifetime or other lifetimes, because this soul that you have, this soul has been traveling many lifetimes with you. So the soul is much older than your human, right? So the soul has been on many journeys. You've been in this one human journey. You've been right here, right now. This is your human journey right here, right? So, like, this is, you got this one lifetime. So, to release from this lifetime and many other lifetimes, all of the anger that has been attached or attacked up on. And so, all of that starts to free you of everything without having to keep rehashing. To heal, we don't have to keep rehashing. We can astral travel, we can move beyond, but we also can't suppress and pretend things are not happening. We can't see sunshine one day and believe that that's going to be the rest of our lives. And so that's a big part of spiritual awakening and healing that a lot of people back away from. A lot of people run and they go like, I can't do this, I can't handle this. It's because when it's not sunshine and butterflies, like this whole kind of awakening that people think we're going to have, and you realize what it's truly is that you're awake and you're aware to the truth that you're now willing to deal with the fact that you have ownership and responsibility because you're the adult. You're no longer the little kid. You're no longer the person from 3,000 years ago. You're no longer the ancestors. You're no longer any of that. You are you of today. And the you of today has to deal with the issues that are in front of you right now. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to fix it. This is your job. I can give you all the guidance, all the tools, but I can't force this down your throat, nor do I want to. I don't ever want people to ever believe that you should not be able to question what you are feeling within yourself, that what you accept to believe for you is truly about you learning to accept you. And that's a big part of this journey. So, hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Joanne and Wanda. Good morning. And Heather, hi. Raquel, hi. And I think I've said hello to everyone else who's in it right now. And so that journey really plays out. And so people say, oh, you're so harsh. Like, you're so, well, I am an Aries. And so I'm pretty straightforward. But Aries energy also very much lives in the now. Like, I don't be so concerned about what my life is going to look like 10 years from now. And that was always a big thing for me, was that what I found as we started to have to be more molded and designed and created, that I need to know what I'm going to do in September, October, November, December, January, February, March, when none of those days even exist. It's a non-existent. I can have a goal. I can have some set that possibilities, this could possibly be happening, but to be so tied. And Aries truly is that energy, to be able to stay present, to be able to just know. And a lot of what we have happening right now is that rise into bringing attention to those who are going through that anxiety right now. A lot of people that are very strong masculine energy have just gone through. And this is something that is out there that is being thrown on us, that we don't want to be here, that you don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't like being here. I don't like, because what you're doing is you are caging people up. And so we have been caged and entrapped. And anyone who has that gladiator, that warrior energy, that type of thing, the last thing in the world we need, or we're fire signs, we don't want to be caged. And so you have to free yourself in your own mind and in your own personal life, free yourself of that thought so that you don't feel so entrapped in everything that is closing in on us, such as a motive to live this so-called dream sunshine butterfly life, because that's not going to make everybody happy. That's a motive. That's a desire to create something that started way, way back. And so being able to move forward is about really being able to hit home to you and to free yourself of feeling like you are caged, like you're not allowed to have your thought, you're not allowed to think for yourself, you're not allowed to. And so you're seeing, because the reason is anyone who has a strong masculine energy has to be suppressed right now. Got to keep that energy suppressed, because if that energy finds its way up, if we rise, if that energy rises, we're going to have to answer for this. And so, but a healed, healthy energy, a healed, healthy warrior energy, masculine energy, strong feminine energy, divine energy is about reasoning and learning to be able to reason. And that's my journey of why, that's why I walk the middle road, is that I have a strong sense of being able to reason with me. I don't get offended. I don't get so mad. I don't get all worked up over stuff. I allow it to process it. How does it make me feel? Is this resonating with me? And then I work from there. I don't project anything that I'm feeling onto another that way of saying, you did this to me. You're making me feel this way. You're doing this. You're responsible for this. Why would I throw more of everything I don't want to feel onto another? And that's what you have to think. Why would I want, if I know how much this hurts, why do I want to project it onto another? Right? And so to be able to reason with our thoughts, to be able to reason with you, with your own head, with your own anxiety, with your own depression, allows you to set yourself free. Right? Betty, that's resonating. You're an Aries also? Yeah. And so I have felt some strong, strong energy coming in. Um, I've channeled some big messages, and not everything is for the world. I've come to know that over the years is I get some really big heads up about stuff that's happening in the world. And I notice like a lot of channels, a lot of mediums, a lot of psychics really want to tell everybody everything, because just waiting for that hit, waiting for that star video to be a number one, to be so, they want to be, so many people want to be so loved by the world, so bad, by this material world. I want to be, I want to be here. I want to be within this. I want to live with happiness and peace and contentment with who I am. And so sometimes to get those messages out in hope that somebody's going to hear them is not, those messages are not for other people. They're for us. They are to prepare us for the days to come, for what is to come, so that we can be the light in the dark, so that we can be the light workers that we are asked to be. And right now you have a lot of the healing, the deep-seated healing that's really truly healing the light workers, that's healing the star seeds, that's activation. There's a lot of activation that's happening. And that's a lot of different work, and it's a lot of out there work that seems so odd. And I always say, you know what? I wouldn't have believed in half of this shit until I seen it. And when I seen it with my own eyes, it was like, holy crap. My meetings with Jesus, I can't deny. My interactions with Mother Mary Magdalene, I can't deny. I've held the hands. I've walked the walk. I've walked the journey. I know what I know because of my decision to not feel as if I am trapped in this human body, not be so defined by this human world, but to know that this is a blessing to be able to do this work. And I feel honored and I feel blessed to be able to do it. And so you may have a headache today. You may have feel the pressure because we've been just like squeezed through the freaking womb. We've just like been giving birth. So there's a lot of energy right now that makes it feel like just it's headachy energy. You feel like your head is like just hurting. So you can't make this shit up. And our card that comes out is She Is. This is the Mother Mary card of my creation, of how my relationship with Mother Mary, about being divinely dignified within myself, to place my love, my heart, my work all into the hands of God, whatever God means for you, and to have full trust and faith that when I open my mouth, what is needed comes out. And so the roses that fall really represent the Mary Magdalene energy. These roses represents the tears. So just like the Apache tear, just like the Apache tear stone, same thing. It is the tears that we have cried for, for the loss of those that we love, for the suffering that we have experienced, witnessed within this world, in this lifetime and another lifetime. And that through those tears did not go to waste. Those tears hit the ground, hit the earth, and it allowed for those seeds that were planted for future generations to be able to blossom, to grow, to move beyond, to make a difference, to change beyond the stories of the past. And that's how we are able to come forward, is that we allow ourselves to be able to awaken to our new truth, to what aligns to us, not the objective of the world, not this stupid woke stuff, not this energy of canceling, because that's been going on since the beginning of time. Like I said, they canceled Jesus, they canceled the witches, they canceled out anything, whatever doesn't serve the motive to make the change that you want to see. And so got a whole lot of message about that. But this is truly today, this is about the teardrops. This is about the heart. This is about the things of the past that have taken you to your knees, that have made you fall and made you, well, I'm holding up the card when I got the card on the screen, that has made us feel like we cannot take another breath. We have lost ourselves. And that, you're watching and you can't do anything about it. You have to experience, you have to walk through your fire. Well, what we don't realize in that time, that's faith. That's faith, to just know that we have to trust something outside of ourselves or within us that is so much stronger than us, that can truly bring about the change that we need to experience, that we need or change to feel the strength and the courage to be able to rise back up, to stand up, to know that everything that we have gone through in our past is to be of service to who we become tomorrow. We don't use it to keep us chained, keep us held hostage. We allow it to teach us that we should be able to reason with each other, that we can treat each other with dignity, love, and respect, and we can use it today to create a better tomorrow, that we can bring that forth. And so the blossoming flowers really truly represent the tears of Mary Magdalene. The heart really represents that of the womb, of the woman, of the feminine and the masculine. That light, the cross is about learning to live from the middle, learning to live, to stay in the middle road. That you don't have to choose this or that. You don't have to you don't have to sell your soul to the devil, of somebody's mind story, of somebody's manipulation, to still be enough in this world. You don't have to live in fear of being canceled, to be kicked out of wherever. It doesn't matter. What is in our divine plan and what is for us is by staying true, by staying here. And so the rise of the masculine and that depression, that sense of self, and you're hearing a lot of that like strong men, that raw kind of big, and women that are strong, courageous, and they're just dying to get going. They're dying to be able to have a voice, to be able to take a stand. And the reason why all of that is being kept suppressed, because if that rises, that's where you're going to see the change. And it is going to rise. It is going to rise. And there's going to be such a change. And that means that sense and by that, what I mean is not calling out war. It's by calling upon the masculine, the fire within us, not the angers of the past or where we have been. It is using the golden nuggets, the pieces of the past that we have experienced, to look inside of yourself and just say, from a loving place, I have a passion and desire to rise beyond my fears, my insecurities, to be defined by that, not to allow that to control and run my life. That is our truth. And to be able to live from that place. And yes, she is so beautiful. And I would say her long hair represents so much as well. 30 years in the beauty industry, so 30 years I spent working with women prior to the years that I have spent doing this. So I was still doing this well into, and I was still running two full-time businesses. And so 30 years hairdressing, then into this business, then into this, well, it wasn't a business. It was my journey to healing. And the cards were a hobby. And so everything else just kind of fell in. But I'm an expert in women, in emotional, spiritual awakening and healing. But I'm also very aware of the masculine, and such a desire to know that if you can allow us to not keep diminishing the sense of the masculine energy, that there's a love and respect that we have to show for those who take a stand, who in a healthy way, to be there, to be of love, to be support. And we don't want to bring that down. So the everyday miracle is that she who heals brings forth a strong, confident child for the next generation, not one that has to keep living in the stories of the parent who didn't get all of their needs met, to keep trying to relive heal through those children. And so those tears and all those things that were shedded, we're planting new seeds so that we can bring forth a new, more beautiful way. Her hands are golden. You don't see her actual hands. She protects what is hers. She protects, her heart is protected. Her sacred healing hands are protected. And her long hair represents that desire to know that what is seen, what we see the most on somebody, does not speak of their truth, of who they really are, but it is ours. It is ours to mold, to create, to make ourselves look as beautiful as we want, to live from that. And it's like we take this dead cells of skin and hair, because this is not alive. We take this dead cells of us and we keep it alive. Why do we do that? Because we have hope and faith. Then we have this strive, this fight to stay alive, to fight for her, to be present, because the everyday miracles here, because of the action steps we do every day to wake up and we see ourselves alive. We don't see us as walking around with all this dead stuff on us, because we also know that we also have life. So everything has its purpose and its why, and everything keeps us protected and safe, and we're all of that. And we have a lot of energy. What we're being asked to do is to set ourselves free of feeling like we have to be trapped, hidden, or hiding, and to allow ourselves to be able to have the courage to start walking into our light, to start walking forward. And that is the angel numbers. And so the light body, that embodying light, whatever embodies that light, whatever brings you into living the best of you, that's your truth. And feel free to share these videos, please. So because we do get knocked out of the of our videos being shared because of what we do. Just saying. So our next card that we're going to use, and the reason why I'm doing messages that are for everybody is because I'm not doing a lot of the individual stuff right now. Number one, I'd like to be able to, right now, I feel like every message needs to be for everyone. I feel like everyone needs that. I'm not doing my mediumship right now because I had to do some serious healing on my throat that needs some healing. So I'm trying to combine everything into one. I will be back doing mediumship. I will be back doing all of my work, but I teach a lot. And so outside of here, I have another school called Corrie School of Magic, and I teach a lot. And so, but I have a whole bunch of new programs coming up in the school as well. One is posted on my page, and it's the spiritual realms. I'm going to be doing 8 2-week series. So they're 2 weeks each, and there'll be 8 of them in total. They'll finish by fall, they'll all be out, and they're live, they're interactive, but they're also recorded, working through the realms. And so I'm starting with the mystical realm of what falls under the fae, the fairy energy, the mystical energy. And if you're Irish, you probably know a lot about this. And so how we all have these traits within us that has this mystical, magical little spark within us that gives us our little curious, our little devilish side, our little mischievous side, all of that. And so a little bit of history of that is going to be 2 classes. Each one is only 2 Sundays. I think it's Sundays, but it's called The Journey Through the Realms, and it's $66 for the 2 classes. And that just got launched in the school. Also, I have another series of my Goddess Within, the Soul Revival classes coming up, and I love teaching those. And that's truly about being able to break yourself free of your stories. It's that whole stop making excuses for yourself. This one is not the same as the last one that I taught. Every series will be different. When I teach live and I teach interactive like that, I channel the messages. And so it comes with healing, meditation, picking back up the pieces of you that you lost somewhere. And then I also have the Diamond Effects, which is a healing certification program that I teach you about learning to use the more than existing healing tools and doing the attunements to clear your energy, to ascend, taking you on an ascension process, teaching you the power of the colors and all of those things. And that's also coming up in April. So I have a whole lot of things that is happening that if you're interested in any of those, go to my school, check it out. So our next card is the Unseen Wound. And this is Thecla. See, can't make this shit up. And so she truly goes with everything that I just spoke of. And she gives validation to that message. And she is the eight. And so she's infinite. She's that power of eternity, of being there for kind of ever. So, the time that we have here on earth, are we going to keep fighting and blaming and being angry at everybody else for everything that has ever happened in the past? Does every man have to represent, somebody of your past? Does every woman represent that one woman who hurt you in the past? Do we hold on to that, and do we make it the reflection of what we see in everybody? So often when we go into relationships, even with ourselves, relationships include even with yourself. When you go into a relationship and you get into a relationship and you find yourself allowing your fears of being hurt, betrayed, cheated on, whatever it is, whatever you got happening of the past, to then come into your relationship that you're in now, because that person is now responsible for everything that happened to you in the past by everyone else. So then you don't trust, you have jealousy, you're always angry, that you got to know where they are all the time. They got to leave their phone out, you got to be checking on them. So people, including friends, always have to be responsible for you feeling comfortable and safe. Oh no, because this happened to me past, so I need you to nurture this. I need you to respect that of me. But no consideration goes into respecting the other person. It's all about what you need to be able to feel comfortable and safe in the world, instead of doing the healing work that needs to be done. Face the hard stuff. Do the hard stuff. Why throw the hard stuff onto somebody else and make somebody else responsible for the hard stuff? You have to have a lot less big boundaries. You have to have a lot less of other stuff. If you truly stop making it somebody else's responsible to do the hard stuff for you, that is your job. And that's the truth. And when we allow ourselves to put down those weapons, to let those guards down, to not feel the need to fight so hard, is that we can truly look into the eyes of every version of ourselves in the past, to see ourselves in every version, every story, and look in and to see yourself in such a light, in such an energy, that you start to go, how did I truly allow myself to be held, to hold everybody else, including the old versions of myself, so responsible? And all I had to do was to go to the power of forgiveness, not forgetting. The power of forgiveness. I forgive myself for ever thinking that it was my responsibility to hold this. I forgive myself for ever thinking that I needed to keep carrying this. And so those things that we do for us truly is the beginning of being able to set us free. We know where we've been. We know the hurt. We know what we have been through. And so and if you keep holding somebody to accountable to what they did 20 years ago, if you stayed in a relationship, or you stayed friends with somebody who hurt you 20 years ago, or if somebody else hurt you 20 years ago, and now everybody who comes forward is responsible for that, right? It's so that energy. So if you stayed in a relationship where you were hurt previously, you are the one who has to learn to set yourself free of that. Not of the relationship, if that's where you want to be and you're willing to work it out. If you've seen something that you knew was really worth fighting for, then you held on. Finding out what caused the problem and why it was there, instead of just accusations back and forth on each other, will bring forth the change. But you also sometimes have to be willing to listen to the other side of the story and the other truth, which most people don't want to have to do. And so there's a lot of things, and sometimes you should just freaking walk away. Just saying. But there are many different versions and ways that we look at it. But by using the weapon of the past, by using the hurt of the past as a dagger, as a protection, as a guard, hold you from being able to have a future that is free of the suffering. Because you have to free yourself of all of that to be able to move forward. And the moment you can start to free yourself of that, and you can't fix somebody else's issues, you can't make somebody else's life better for them. And no matter how many times you try to convince people that you are the right person for them, or that you have everything as a healer. I mean, for years I spent time thinking, I'll show them how what it's like to be loved. I'll show them what it's like to be cared for. Well, in the meantime, the one person who wasn't cared for, who wasn't loved, who was disrespected was me. And it wasn't so much that they were. Well, of course they were, because they didn't even know what love was. They didn't even know what respect was. Most were spoiled freaking brats. And so most of that energy was what I was doing to myself. I wasn't respecting myself enough to walk away when somebody was an asshole. I wasn't respecting, right, like those things. And then when it came to having healthy relationships, whether it's work, whether it's personal, wherever it was, I had a guard, I had a wall that was up. And that's what we do. And so we get guarded and we create these shields. We're not trusting. We don't trust nobody. You're just always waiting for that one person. So you're always throwing the first arrow. You're throwing those darts at people. You're throwing those things. You're hitting the bullseye on them so that you can make them feel like less than. You can get them, you can trigger them. You know how to trigger it. So you put in that little key that just turns it, or that little weapon that turns it enough to make them second guess themselves, the second to doubt them. And you might think I'm not a gaslighter, but you are gaslighting somebody. You're coming at somebody because your tongue and your words and your thoughts and your little messages of passive aggressive are actually weapons of destruction, because they truly then take people away from the healing that they have done in themselves. So when you start to want to blame it on another, go inward first. And then also knowing, if I had all the warning signs and I didn't want to listen, then that's on me, right? That resonates with you, Mary, going back to your dad? Yeah, exactly, right? So all those little gaslighting things. And so if you were raised on gaslighting, if you were conditioned by passive aggressive, if you were conditioned by control, by those things, you don't realize that your return of your words, your interaction in relationships and in languages, your language, when it's your human language, is really using that language a whole lot more than what you think. It really is. You don't realize how much you're using that sarcasm, that that whole passive aggressive, how much you're actually turning it back to it's about you, that you're using it because it's what you know. It's what you know that has that the same thing that attacked you is also protecting you. And that's pretty sad. The same thing that attacked you is now your protection. It's the same thing when somebody keeps returning to an abuser. Is the one thing they want to get away from is the one thing they get returning to. And they may just change the face. It may have a different face. You may look different than the last relationship, but you'll keep returning to the energy. You'll keep returning to the same thing. And you'll keep returning until you make a choice to put it all down. And if you notice there's beautiful roses on her shoulders, is that she is lighting her load. See the sword, see the roses around the blades? Well, that's a mixture of the divine energy of all. This is the beginning of being able to start a journey into awakening, into an awareness of the power of setting ourselves free and recognizing our own words, our own actions, and being aware of how much that we even get when we get mad at people for not being, oh, you're not, how come you're not all optimistic and happy? And you need to see the brighter sides of things. And, oh, I can't be around that person because they're just too negative for me. I hear that all the time. Oh, I was working with these people and they're just so negative and I just can't be around them. Who's the judgy, right? Who's judging who? Right? And so that sense of judgment, and we don't realize how much of those statements really, truly impact us. And not saying that we'd make a choice to choose, but from a healed self, you're like, okay, something of that, I just don't like that. That's just not who I am, and I can't be bothered with it. And so I'm not judging them. That's you float your own boat, just ride your own wave. I don't care what you do, but that's not for me. And there's a difference because now you're speaking from the adult you, right? The truth of you. And so when you truly let go and you set yourself free, you can spiritually and emotionally mature. And that is our biggest message, is to be able to allow ourselves to spiritually and emotionally mature, to recognize how much we project onto another, and how much you don't realize, as sometimes we spiel out our messages, our words that we say, oh, I just felt the need to tell you this. I just felt the need to fill you full of this information. And that you walk out and you go, oh, I feel so much better about myself. And I don't care what that person feels left behind me. And so all of that, that you then, that trail of toxic environmental energy that you left behind you, actually then it takes the wind and the sails out of somebody else's day, out of somebody else's life. And it doesn't matter, because you got what you wanted. And that's what we see in activists and environmentalists and those type of things, that truly, that desire to want to shut down everything, to close down everything, to get your wants, to get your needs, all for the manipulation and motive of another big company on the other side of that, whatever it may be, truly is, do you ever look behind? So you talk about, you may have saved this or you may have saved that. I may have saved my face. I may have saved this relationship. Have you ever looked behind at the collateral damage that you've done? Have you ever looked behind at the people who then are without jobs, losing homes, losing lives, losing no food on the table, no longer able to sponsor other things? Like, and that is the middle road. I live there because I also can see what is happening on the other side because of my work, because I made the choice to work the groundwork, to work with individual clients and individual people, no matter where they're from or from what race or from no matter what. I have seen the best of humanity, and I have seen the worst of the worst. I have seen that drive to get your wants, your needs, to be fight, to be an activist, to be whatever. And I have seen the damage on the other side. I have seen the hurt, the pain on all sides. And I can tell you, it is not pretty. So that middle road, and is it worth, if we can reason with each other, if we can work together as a society, if we can learn to live from that middle road, if we can heal us, if we can do the healing work on us, we become more reasonable. We have respect and dignity for humanity. We act like grown-ups instead of looking like grown-ups, instead of wearing the shell of an adult and acting like a child. We act like grown-ups. And it's amazing what we can do from a crone energy, from being present with what is happening, and to know that what we are doing and what we are fighting for and what that cause is and that whole objective, and to get to the sense of being a critic. Oh, hold on. Don't anybody answer that comment. We got to get rid of here comes our daily spammers. Speaking of assholes that you have to fight with. So I got it. You might see it on your comment for a second until it deletes. So, um, and so, yeah, really looking a little bit deeper inside, looking at your motives, looking at your whys, looking a little closer. And I'm not saying we don't have to do this work. We have to do the work. We have to care for the things that we have to care for Mother Earth. Of course we do. But that should have been common sense to us, that, so it's like, maybe we should never have created plastic bottles or plastic bags. We had paper bags way back. Like, there's things that we could have made a difference all the way back, but we didn't know. Now we know. So why don't we just stop some of those things? But we can't, because it is a story in motion. So your story in motions. And so you're feeling like we're very squished out. We're feeling as if we're feeling the pressure of the world, and we're being pressured to change us as us everyday little peon little humans, like us little tiny humans here. We're a drop in the bucket. So we're being told that we should do all of this ourselves. We're all responsible. But the big responsibilities, the big places that are doing a lot of the other stuff, are not so responsible. And I feel like that's where you're going to see some of the awakening come in, is we're going to start questioning a little bit more and not so accepting. And so we're returning to wholeness as a human race, to say, our neighbors are not so bad. My friends, not so bad. There's so many things that are probably not so bad. So we're giving birth to a new thought, a new idea, that we can question, that we can be us, that we can let ourselves be guarded and protected, but we can reason. We are clearing our thoughts of that being reactive responsive behavior that takes us away from ourselves. When we look in at the reflection of all the things that have been done wrong in the past and people stood and cheered it on, that like a man on a cross, people stood and cheered that on, thought it was doing the right thing for the right reasons. Who the hell would ever think that was normal? Who would ever think that was acceptable? Burning women on a stake, hanging them. Who would ever think that was acceptable for a cause? So yes, so these cancels, all of this stuff has all previous been there. The difference is a lot of people start to recognize, holy fuck, they feared me into believing this to be true. And it's, that's a fear story. Um, we're doing a lot of damage, and that's another human being, and that's not very dignified of us, and that is just wrong. And so you start to wake up to a truth that some of the stuff that we've been doing in this world and we do to ourselves is wrong. And we're starting to become more aware of that, of what we have happening in our own personal lives based on who we hold accountable and how we hold people accountable for what is not right in our lives today. And it's our job to do the healing work that we need to do within us today so that our next generations can learn history and can learn to have their own mind and think for themselves and can be observant and can be an observer of what had happened and be able to know that through everything, just like us, we have an opportunity to do better, to be better. And our soul that's inside of us got many other lifetimes. I'm hoping mine's on the last one, but it's got many lifetimes of living. It carries many stories, and that you can free some of those things by freeing yourself of everything that you allow to be suppressed, to hold down. So, and this is rebirth, and this is purity, and that's our return to wholeness. This journey, this work is not easy. And that's why people don't get to the whole 360, as my 360 spinning circles that I use in my teaching. Everyone, there's that one piece of the pie left that people don't want to eat, don't want to take, they don't want to do the journey. You're too full. You don't, it's that last piece. And you have to be willing to put the hard work in. Magic and miracles happens when we make a choice to choose to walk towards us, to walk into our truth, to walk into our light. And if you want to hear the rest of my channel message of today, go to my YouTube, Corrie Thorne, the spiritual healer, or Corrie Thorne, not sure how it comes up, and it's posted. Also Friday, there's a podcast in She Is Podcast that is also up as well. All my school has a bunch of stuff, and my TikTok and Instagram. So all this stuff is all up with all new content. Much love. Have a beautiful day, and thank you for being here with me. I now have to go record the astrological monthly reports. So hopefully I'll get those out in the next 2 days. Mwah. Much love. Bye-bye. And I have a blog coming out.